Hey, hello guys, and welcome to another video on my PHP series. And we are we've been talking about in the last few videos about object-oriented programming, and in this video I will talk about exceptions, okay, and what exceptions are. So basically, exceptions are errors, and we call them exceptions because um, they are errors that we can define in a previous class or a previous code. Okay, for example, if I want an error to appear when a block of code is running, okay, and I know that possibly that block of code can output an error because it's not a perfect block of code, or it's a block of code that we are testing, or it's a block of code that that handles with some difficult stuff. I don't know, maybe it's memory or something like that, or cache. So whenever that block of code that we are running returns an error, I want to output a message previously created by me, okay, in a class. And exception itself is a class of it's a how can I say, it's a built-in class, okay, of PHP. So there's a class already existing in PHP, which is the exception class, okay. That exception class has a lot of functions that you can use, okay, to better organize this kind of custom error thing, okay. So we will use a lot of some of the functions of this class, okay, and you now know how to call functions from a class, okay, that we talked about in the last few videos in object-oriented programming. So to start, first of all, I'm going to give you a little example on how to throw an exception, okay, or an error. So to do that, I'm going to create a function first, and let's call this function calc. Okay. So in function calc, I'm going to create two parameters inside the parentheses, num1 and num2. Now inside the function, I'm going to create an if statement, which is if if num2 is equal exactly to 0, do this code, or else do this. So first, if number 2 is equal exactly to 0, I want to say throw new capital E exception. Okay, so type that, and inside the parenthesis we are going to type something that some alert that we want to output, like can't divide by 0. Okay, and else is going to be return num1 divided by num2. the calculation itself. Now, outside the function, we will echo divide parenthesis, and let's pass some values to the parameters, which is going to be the 10 for num1 and 0 for num2. Okay, so let's save this. Now, what I'm saying here is I've created a function calculation with num1, num2 as parameters, and then inside it I've created an if statement saying if num0 is equals to 0, throw new exception. Okay, we didn't talk about this, or I didn't made any video about this before. Okay, so this is new for you. So this is the line of code. Sorry, all this is the line of code that you have to type when you throw an exception. Okay, and I already told you that exceptions are basically errors. Okay, so what I say here is throw new error or throw new exception with the output can divide by 0. Okay, this is what we will see outputted in the web page. Else, okay, so if num2 is not 0, return the calculation. Okay, so for testing purposes, I did pass the value of 0 as num2. So the error that we typed before, or the exception that we typed in here, is the code that we will run. Okay, so let's try this, and let's open our browser. Let's open our browser and let's run this code, and let's see what happens. Oh, and sorry guys, I didn't mention that I've created, of course, a new file, and I've called it, you can call this file whatever you want, okay? I call it exception.php, and I've saved it in htdocs directory, okay? The virtual server directory. So make sure that you have the file inside htdocs directory. Now let's open the browser, and let's go in here inside localhost, which is the htdocs directory, and the file that I want to open is exception. Okay, exception.php. Okay. Okay, this is not the error that we wanted to see because it's not divide. It's echo the name of the function, which is calc. Sorry guys. And refresh. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is the error that I want you guys to see. This is the error that will appear whenever you throw new exception. Okay, so what happens here is we have a fatal error and then uncaught exception with message can't divide by 0. Okay, and then we have the line, and we have the line, the file, okay, and some new information about the error itself. Okay, but you see that we have here can't divide by 0, and here, okay, and we have a pretty we can say it's a custom error message that we did, okay, using the exception, throw new exception. Okay, so basically this is how we throw an exception inside a function in this case, but in the next video I'm going to show you how to make more than one exception, and always and also how to create different blocks of codes, and for each different block of code throw new exceptions if you have to, okay, if there is an error, okay, and how to build also different customs outputs, okay, for the exceptions. So, but don't worry, we'll talk about that in the next video. I'm gonna make it pretty clear how to use and how to create that. So see you guys in the next video. Bye.